The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Fort McDowell, on your new apparatus, job number 30347. Please utilize this number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment or Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started with some of the details of your apparatus. Starting with the front bumper, there are right and left air horns. Located on the passenger side, an electronic siren. Just beneath the bumper, there are right and left open-ended tow hooks, a mechanical siren. Just above that on the cab, there is a high and low beam headlights. The cluster above that houses the right and left turn signal. And on the inside of that cluster, a set of warning lights. Looking downward into the front bumper, there is an 1.5-inch discharge port. On the left-hand side of the bumper and on the right-hand side, a warning light. Moving upward onto the cab is a cab indicator light. Looking on the driver's side, there is the auto charger, step light, multiple warning and hazard placards. Please identify these placards and familiarize yourself. On the left-hand side is the pump hour meter, the quarter turn battery switch, diagnostic port, set of rocker switches and indicators just below that, and below that is a caution label. Moving upward is the ignition switch, start switch, headlights, bright and dim rocker switch, emergency master, the push pull tilt extend steering column lever, hazard warning lights, right and left turn signal, flash for high beams, and on the left dash cluster starts the transmission temperature, oil pressure, DEF level, water temperature. The two large center gauges in the middle is the tachometer. To the right of that is the speedometer. Starting in the upper right hand corner is the voltmeter, fuel level indicator, front air pressure, rear air pressure, information center, information selector. To the right lower hand corner is the high idle switch and the high idle indicator. Looking from the drivers down, you have the pump shift. To the right of that is the brakes. To the right of that, transmission pad. Looking at the dash also, you have a front flood, driver's side cab scene, passenger side cab scene, driver's side scene, blank areas for future switches, windshield wiper control, power inverter, and the Go Light Control Center. Looking to the left-hand side, we have an emergency master, the engine brake on-off switch, the engine brake low, medium, and high settings, the siren horn selector switch, air horn, electric horn, and the Loadmaster. Looking from a general view of the driver's seat, you have the climate control, backup camera. Looking in the upper left-hand corner, there's a yellow placard indicates the height, width, and length of the apparatus and weight. In addition, with a module that controls the grinder. Next module controls the electronic siren. The next module over is the traffic advisor. Just above that is a white, red push to illuminate switch and the stereo speaker. Looking to the rear of the apparatus from the driver's seat, there are 4 modular control boxes. These are for communication ports. In the rear, there is also an opening to allow for access for checking fluids. Looking at the left-hand side of the vehicle, there are 4 grab handles, the auto eject shore power, step lights, driver's side scene light, water level indicator, telescoping light. There are 2 body lights located on the upper portion, and there are also emergency lights located on the lower section. There are also markers on the front and tail. Starting with the pump panel, we have the large diameter intake. There is a 2.5 diameter intake. There are 2 2.5-inch discharge ports. There is the Hercules CAFS system. Next to it in the red is the Husky foam system. Adjacent to that is the Pierce throttle control. Moving up is the pump plaque. The vacuum and pressure gauges. There is the Watrous pump information placard. There is the water tank level indicator. Recirculating. Engine cool. Pump primer. Pump drain. There are a variety of opening and closing drains. Foam inlet. This is a close-up of the Pierce job number pump information regarding GPM and RPMs. This is the Watrous information placard. Moving into the inside cabinet, you have a IOTA, which is the battery regulator charger. You have the main breaker panel. Just to the right of that, there is the inverter. Moving outside of the cab, there are 2 SCBA storage locations. There is your DEF fill and your diesel fuel. Moving further to the rear, there are 2 folding wheel chocks. And looking at the apparatus, there are 4 handles for grabbing a hold of. There are 4 fold-down steps. There is a 2.5-inch discharge port. There is a reverse or backup camera. There is the traffic advisor. This is the compartment that houses your ladders. There is a switch which turns on the overhead floods. And there is a cluster of brake, turn, reverse, and emergency lights. Overhead are the floods. Looking inside the compartment, there is a 24-foot extension ladder, a 14-foot roofer, a 10-foot foldable, and 2 locations for long poles. Passenger side body, there are 2 upper scene lights. Midship, there is an emergency light. In the rear, there is an adjustable shelf. Locations for SCBA storage, both in front of and in rear of the tire, in addition with oxygen storage bottle area. An opening peg shelf compartment. Looking midship, there are 3 locations of grab handles. There are 4 foldable steps. Large diameter discharge. Large diameter intake. 2.5-inch discharge. The cab lift lever. Drain valves. Backboard storage. Master stream. Hose reel. Rear facing floodlight. Telescoping LED flood on both right and left sides. Cross-lay storage. Passenger seat windshield wiper fluid reservoir. Access panel for electronics. 12-volt power supply. Push button air horn, electronic siren, and mechanical siren. Congratulations, Fort McDowell, on your new pumper. If you have any questions, please direct those to your salesperson at Hughes Fire Equipment. Thank you.